What's up, YouTube? Shadows Enigma here, and uh, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while, but I wanted to come up with something, unique, something that like a question for all y'all, so that y'all could answer, and it was a little bit slow, but with it, but anyway, I want to know what the hardest thing was for you in school that you had to do. And I'm not saying like your hardest subject or nothing like that. I mean like you actually the hardest thing you've ever had to do in school. And I'm gonna give you an example. Uh, my hardest thing that I ever had to do was we had English class, and I think it was a sophomore, it might have been a freshman. I can't remember which. And I had to do, it was like a report where we had to stand up. We had to write our report, and then we had to give it to the whole class. We had to actually stand out in the whole class in English class. And and it was about a song or something like that. I can't remember. I think it was about a song. Like we had to pick a song, and then we had to write an essay or a report, and then give it to the whole class why we chose that song. And mine was, at the time, it was Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. And at the time, I felt like I was alone. Like I felt alone. Like I felt like the whole world was against me. And the hardest thing I ever had to do was stand up in front of that whole class and tell them why I picked that song. Because at the time, I didn't really have anybody that was interested in me. Uh, I didn't have a female interested in me at the time because, she moved, you know, and I didn't meet my wife, then. I didn't know my wife April then. That was way before, I, she didn't know me, I didn't know her. Anyway, so, but that was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I literally stood up and explained why I chose that song. And at the time, I felt like everybody was against me. I was surrounded by negative attitude, and trying to stay positive with that, not and trying not to let that get to me. It got so bad that I was literally crying in that class. As a matter of fact, I'm about to cry now because actually remembering it. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It literally was, and I had to face that every day while in school, every day. But after that day, everything changed. Everything changed. Uh, you know, Kids stopped messing with me. Stopped picking on me. Uh, the things at home still happen, like my stepmom being a total somebody, something that she shouldn't have been, and then my dad just not giving a shit, and the handful of friends that I had, if it wouldn't have been for them, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. So, I want to thank Matt Holloway for being one of those friends. I want to thank Sonny Trinell for being one of those friends. Uh, I want to thank Mr. Potts, the principal, for being there. I want to thank uh, all the teacher staff at that time. They were there for me, uh, and a handful of students, that there's just a small handful of students that went there, the classmates that, or uh, kids that I went to school with there. There was only a handful of them, and it was that was the hardest thing I ever had to do in school, was just stand up in front of that class and 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 let them know how lonely I felt, because of the fact that I really didn't go there with the best attitude when I first got to Crestline. I didn't go with the best attitude. Uh, but it was because, like, when you're in a new school and you're going from one school to another school, and then, with Basaris, I had to fight my way to earn my reputation. Like, Basaris is a lot tough. Like, when you're a kid in Basaris and you're going to school there, it was a lot tougher than going to school in Crestline. It really was, because, like, in Basaris, you either, if people made fun of you, you had to fight for your reputation. You had to defend yourself, and and not take any crap from nobody. But in Crestline, it was totally different. Like, people would try to, you know, I went there with the mindset of, people are gonna make fun of me right off the bat, and I'm gonna wind up getting in a fight. And that wasn't the case at all. And like, eventually, all that anger and frustration, I did something good with it. I took it out on football. Played football for the middle school in 7th and 8th grade, and we dominated. We dominated 7th and 8th grade. We dominated. And then when we went to high school, the whole, when we ascended to high school and went to as freshmen, and the sixth graders there became the 7th and 8th graders eventually. Their season was terrible. Their seasons were terrible. And and I remember talking to one of my good buddies I consider a friend now, Daniel Chapman, and Quentin Reeves. Well, I didn't really tell Quentin this, but I did tell Daniel that that like, this shit, they were ruined our season. Like, they ruined the football season over there. Like, they ruined the legacy that we built. Like, it's like they had no heart when they played football when we left. It's like they had no heart. It's like they just wanted to play football to play football. They didn't add their heart and soul into it. And when it came to football, I put everything that I've been through, everything at the time, I put it out on that football field. Every time I went out there and I stepped on that football field, all the raw emotions and the people making fun of me and all that stuff, I used that as my fuel, and I didn't let it get any further than that. And that's what strived me to play football. Well, when we got to high school, it got so bad that I got tired of fighting it. I got tired of fighting the system and of the negativity and all that. And then I finally just we had that report to do, and that changed everything. That changed the aspect of everything. That's where I opened up. I opened up that day, and from then on out, it got worse. Like, I got depressed, and I got I felt lonely. I really did. And then it got so bad, and I'll never forget it. I played tennis. It was the year where I was half a sophomore and half a junior, and I had Coach Palsy, because I played tennis with Sonny that year. Coach Palsy took me home one time, and on the way home, I was telling him that this coming summer, I'm not going to be in Crestline anymore. I'm gonna move to Willard. And he tried his best. He tried his best to get me to stay in Crestline. He tried his best. And I finally told him, I said, if I stay here, one of three things is going to happen. One, I'm going to get locked up because my stepmom's going to get on my case so bad that I can't stand it, and they're going to put me in jail. 2, I'm going to wind up running away and still wind up in jail. Or 3, I'll be in my grave. Because, when you're... The hardest thing in life is to be forced to be felt alone. You may be surrounded by people, but they can make you feel alone. They'll single you out and isolate you and make you feel alone. And I'm not gonna lie. When April knows I love her, my wife knows I love her. I love her with all my heart. But the thing of it is when Cheyenne left, that was it. My world left. My world was gone. That was my sweetheart. That was my high school sweetheart. And that was it. That was it. It was done. And I had to get out. I had to get out across the line. I had to get out. It wasn't me. I'm not blaming the students. I'm not blaming my classmates or whatever you want to call them. I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them one bit. It's just what I was going through, and I was surrounded by people who just wasn't really into me, and I had to surround myself with people who I knew that cared about me, and I wasn't dealing with the negativity. And so, I left, and I came to Willard, and when I first got to Willard, everything was cool. But the problem was, I went from a negative world to a 100% positive world. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So I wound up dropping out and then got my GED because, it was just two different worlds colliding at once. And it just didn't... I didn't want to start out the way I did, and I didn't want to repeat from like when I went to Crestline. I didn't want to repeat like that. So, I felt like the best decision was to drop out and go get my GED, which is just as good as a high school diploma. And, and it was just better for me that way than, going through that high school drama again. And, so, that was my hardest thing I ever done in high school, or definitely in high school. I wasn't the most popular guy. As a matter of fact, I was probably one of the least popular guy in school. One of the least, anyway. And maybe I made a difference, and hopefully I did. I hope I did, and and there's people that that I've added that I went to school with. I recently added Kylie Arter. I don't know how she knows. Well, I already know she knows Daniel and Quentin and all that, but anyway, that's beside the point. But anyway, somehow it's either Quentin or Daniel. They know Davy Crowden, which is one of the kids I grew up with. One of the kids that I watched grow up. At least to his teenage years. And Chris Ganshorn's another one. Cody Walker's another one. As a matter of fact, I was there when his mother. I was living in Bucyrus when Cody's mom brought him home from birth. So, I literally watched Cody. I honestly I could be considered family. I've known him all his life. So like I watched him grow up his early years, and he's all that. So, but yeah, I have to say that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done was going stand up in front of that class and and telling that story and telling that. Well, I mean, it wasn't really a story because it was true. It was all true. I put my I put my heart and soul into that report because yeah, like nowadays, if I had the same question pop up and had to do the same report, it would probably be what song would it be? It'd be 1,000 years actually. It'd be 1,000 years by Christina Perry. I believe that's who sings it. And because that's we had that song as our wedding song for so we that was one of our wedding songs. I picked that song. That was the song I picked. I wanted that to be played there. So at our wedding. So uh, but yeah, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in school. I had to stand up in front of the whole classroom and tell them how I felt about everything at that time. So the whole class shut up. I bet you I made the whole class feel bad. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it, man. I fell apart in that classroom. I couldn't. I tried so hard. I tried so hard to just keep it in. I just couldn't do it. Anyway, I wanted to share that with y'all because and before y'all say, oh well, you're a man or a teenager crying, you know what? Get a heart, have a heart, just men cry too, they really do. They cry, especially when they care about somebody so much, or they're going through something that means a lot to them. Yeah, and it just proves that we're human and that we have a heart and that we care. So I learned that the hard way. And for you future kids that are going to school and are growing up and you're watching this, uh, don't make fun of people. Don't make fun of people. Don't name call. Don't discriminate them just because you don't like them. Because you don't. In reality, you probably don't even know them on a friendship level, at least. Like if you at least give them a chance to be a friend, it might turn out that you might actually like them. You might actually get along with them if you could befriend them somehow. Find something in common, or something, even if it's the small pettiest thing like playing cards. Like if it's just the smallest thing. Try to make friends. The best way you can, and try to get along with them. And try to find peace with what they do, and if give them a chance. That's all I'm saying. Give them a chance. And but yeah, I wanted to share that with y'all. Hopefully y'all like that, like this video. Like I said, at the beginning of the video, put down in the comment section, what the hardest thing was that you've ever done in school or in high school. Like, have you ever had to stand up to somebody who was bullying you, or stand up to a teacher who was making fun of you, or whatever it was? Put it down there. Put it down there in the comment section. Because like everybody struggles with certain subjects in school, but that's the struggling. That's not something that was really hard for you to do. Like, you didn't have to stand up to something or somebody and open up to it. So like, but yeah, hopefully y'all like this video. I'll try to come up with some more positive things excuse me, to talk about. And I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold. And we'll go from there. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave that comment. I want to know. And hopefully y'all have a nice day or evening whenever you're watching this. Peace.